Hello, guys. I'm going to talk to you about the update of August 31st. So, first of all, I'm going to say it does have some pretty cool stuff, and this time it's really based between light and dark. So, let's get really into it. First of all, the last player that was exclusive to the Japanese version of the game has finally been added. It's a dark passer. She's actually pretty cool. The aces increase attack power and hype of dark attribute players by 30%, recover target's action bar by 100, increase pass effect receive 30, target penetration 20, that's actually pretty good. Increase action speed 30%, reflex 20, never hurt. Decrease enemies defense within position 40%, good to stop co-op defense. And Power of Pain Enforcer, increase critical rate and critical damage by 10% of allies within the position for 8 minutes with a pass. She is a passer, so this will actually activate a lot. It does sound pretty cool. We're waiting for the E for final verdict, but she already has a lot of potential. I do know that currently we're running very few passers, and some of them actually have line buffs that give reflex, and that's more what's wanted, or speed debuffs. So she doesn't really have a place in the current meta game, and since she's dark, she's always going to be overshadowed by Balteon, but until you get him in a mono darkish kind of build, she is really cool. Now here's what I'm going to call the way that they're now destroying the light EEs. Because now whenever we see an EE to a light player, we're just fed up and we don't want to see it. We thought that they would actually make Diamantis something a bit more useful. They did change something that was a problem with him, but somehow it feels like we still lost. So the passive Keen Eyes, so it was changed to 2-3 different ways. The main idea here is that at the place that the active that decreased action speed and pass effect affected only the assistors, that means people who do passes, it's going to affect everyone at an EE state with decreased action speed by 25% and pass effect by 50%. Now the problem with this is in the old meta, this would have been a really cool player, but in the current meta, it's basically dead. We want height buffs, we want reflex debuff, we want something to get out of a lane. We don't actually care about the passer who that he does is active or not is not going to make a big difference. So I'm going to say, again, no real gain there. And no pain, no gain. Recover spirits 5% more. Decrease inflicted damage 5% more. It's not bad, but it's really nothing big. So, I mean, on top of it, they even say it themselves. He's not applicable for a recall. So they even agree that this doesn't really feel like a buff once again. If you were having any doubts preparing him, I'm just not going to advise him. At least in the current meta, he's just going to be completely destroyed. He has no reflex, he isn't that fast, it's just bad all around. His only advantage is his heal team skill, but if he's too slow, it's meaningless. Now, Extreme Evolution Oros. So I'm going to say here, they only changed one single skill, and this feels like an actual buff. So the passive skill, Chilling Espionage, was now replaced by Haunting Gaze Extreme Evolution. Decreases enemies' max sight, reflex for 10 minutes with an attack. This was extremely bad, because it required not only that you take a hit, but it would require that they hit you 3 times in 10 minutes to fully stack, who's basically insane. Plus, if she's going to get hit that often, she's going to die. It's not like she had a passive heal skill. Now, Haunting Gaze is actually much cooler. Decreases the max height, reflex, and critical rate within the position with an attack. So that means when she attacks, she's going to be able to do 3 debuffs. It means that if you stack speed, if you get her some action bar, it's actually in your control. It's not something negative to stack. You have a much higher chance of stacking it, plus it's hitting the entire line. It is pretty cool, and I would say in the current gameplay, it's only really in the current line you would use her, but there she would be pretty useful. Now, premium skin, we have Keyboard, Limini, and Basis Lucid, so they've finally gone and made an official band pack. I've been talking about the band team for quite a while. They've added even more players to it, so it's pretty cool. So here you're going to see the entire list. Lin Mei, Hero, Leah, Lucid. There's also something for Kate. There's a bunch of them who are pretty cool in that. I think there's also Death Queen. Some of them, it's not their actual skin. So if you want to do something like that, go get it. I'm not a fan of the bundles, but it's really up to you. So now let's talk about the important things. Characters available in weekend event draw will be changed. The following characters will have an increased chance during the weekend of the September 9th to 10th. So we got Leah Andor, we got EAU 96, Kurapika, Princess Murian, Isilla, Hameru is the new player, Belle, and Felix. So who would actually care about this? So I'm actually going to say this isn't really a good deal unless you're Funder. And when I mean Funder, I really mean Mono Funder, because Leah's really old. Princess Murian, you can get her from GP. Isilla, you can get her from GP. I guess the Dark one, but again, she's not at a point that she's going to be outshadowing any of the current Dark Passers, especially if you got a Shura. So again, it's not really worth it yet unless you get her from draw before you get Shura or any other Dark Passers. So really, Kurapila, who you can't get right away, Belle, who's one of the best Thunder Legendary, Felix, who's a new Legendary. I've seen some actually pretty decent ones, but it depends how you build it, and the problem is, if they control their team, they're never going to actually try to hit a Felix. Now, on the second week, we have Galv, Hilgard, Ernesto, Michael, Oros, Kurel, and Duran. So, first of all, on the Wormwind front, I'm pretty sure all three of those are new or legend. So, Duran is really good, even through the penetration debuff isn't as valuable as it used to be. Kurel is, I think, still ranked number 1 backline penetrator to frontline. He is extremely powerful, and even if you're running Rainbow, you should try get him. Oros got a buff. Again, I'm not going to say unless you're running a Current's a good deal, so that's even more on the Wormwind side. Ernesto is a Wormwind frontline assister who's not that bad. So really, Wormwind teams should be trying to get this. Rainbow teams should also be trying to draw. Galfi is also pretty cool, but he's more on a mono and/or backline thing. I wouldn't advise that much drawing for him, but if you really want him, you can do that. Drawing for Hilgard doesn't make sense. Drawing for Michael, you should never do that because he's just not that good. So again, a fast recap. Basically, the first week is because you're Mono Thunder, and the second week is because you're Mono Wormwind, or your Rainbow, and you need some of those players for your backline. Now, what are the new things that they've also added? Boss matches will be added to the game with a separate event notice, blah, blah, blah. Nute was added again. I mean, she's been added quite a lot of times. There's some other players we'd kind of like to have a chance to get. So this is getting a little bit frustrating, especially since she's pretty bad and she still doesn't have any E after all this time. A purchase limit for super power packs and power-up packs has been increased. They're trying to say they want you to pay more money. I don't know why you would do that. Some packs are much nicer. The compensation for unit stone retrieval, which took place on August 17th, will be made. All gold and power up to unique stones and reply to a property will send to your inbox. So basically, if you power up stone at that point, I don't actually know what event went wrong. I did spend a lot of money at that point, so I might be getting something like 10 million, so I'm not complaining. As a compensation for login Facebook error, Boss Match Alice Dark will be reopened for those that weren't able to log in from August 26 to 27. Finally, you get a chance to get her if you weren't able to log in, because I know that was extremely frustrating. So that is actually kind of nice. Now bug fixes. Issue of current spill only applying to herself. I guess that's fine. Jill, this is not even some 5-star players. Pop-up messages, we don't really care. Tutorial quests have been fixed. Again, I don't think that's that important. Event skin being revealed before the start of the event. This is an issue. I like that. Other side of portrait frame of certain players being slightly dislocated. Okay. Tips of recall menu. Okay, that's new. Issue of Sue's Andor being correctly described being fixed. Okay, I read it in French and it hasn't, but it's fine. Well, it's going to be fixed, I guess. Issue of skin, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it's nothing really that big. So the only really important parts are the draws, or Alice, and basically that they made Oros a little bit better. So if you need any help on the Alice matches to borrow my ace or anything like that, I'll see what's doable. And if you need any help and your team is partially capable of beating her, we can try to work something out. And worst case, you can stream it and I can give you a bit of advice. Have a good day, guys.